How long have you had this now?
What?
The tournament?
Since last January.
Yeah.
I thought you had it before that.
Lyle called me in January, I think.
Huh.
Hello.
And a lot of them were too far for me to drive.
Where are you guys from?
Over in New Douglas. I'm not far from Athena.
Oh, okay.
It was about 13, 14 miles from me, best I can remember.
Yeah.
Out. You can have 10 rods in the boat or whatever. Yep, you got it. Go get them. Alright, later.
Stop, thief!
You guys decide where you're gonna set up at?
Down there somewhere. I'm not really sure where.
Walked
Park for Alex.
So did
Just an extra one of Ken's.
so did you fish these tournaments and stuff before you took
No,
it from Lyle?
It's too hard. You know, just too much stuff to.
How did Lyle come to you and ask you about?
You know, I was at a hotel one night for work in Chicago, and
Right.
Lyle called me. He said, "Hey, I've been talking to a few people, and I think about asking you to, take over Twist a Cat, and maybe run it for a year and see what you think. It's a lot of work." And I had just bought a new Pro Cat, ready to do some tournament fishing, and then I called my wife and kind of gave her the idea, and we said yes, and then did it last year kind of with him, kind of just helping out a little bit,
Right.
and then we decided to finally, take it over this year.
How many you got scheduled for this year?
We've got 8 tournaments and then a classic. There'll be 9 tournaments, all the way from down here in Sioux Passage. The next one's in Lexington over by Kansas City, Missouri, and then we start working our way up to the last Blue Cat water on the Mississippi, which is Keokuk, Iowa, Pool 19. And then we got 2 above that, which is a Channel Cat Flathead water, Burlington and Nauvoo. And then we work our way back down to Alton for the
So,
last tournament of the year, for the classic.
Probably here's going to be the classic.
Yep.
Going to be here.
So,
Danny's just going to take everybody's money though, don't you?
yeah. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of, I don't know how many locals are really here, even today. I mean,
I've seen plates from Iowa and Indiana.
Indiana. I got a buddy from up by west side of Chicago. There's some guys over by Kansas. Down in southern Missouri. There's probably just a few within a 20-mile radius of here. I mean, a lot of people are
I think
within
Russ
3-hour
Russ
drive.
DeVore's down in southeast Missouri, down in Dexter,
Yeah.
Missouri.
So there's a lot of people putting in some drive, but there's a lot of good fishermen. I mean, if they're biting today, it's going to be crazy.
So does it kind of stress you out a little bit sometimes?
It does a little bit, but after last year, I remember I came to the first tournament by myself, and Lyle and Cindy had the scale. All I brought was a notebook to write down the weights.
Right.
And a year later, we've got a 16-foot cargo trailer, and we filled it up. We had to fill the back of the truck bed.
Right.
So it's become, I would definitely say, a full-time job.
You got a board and everything you put up, or
We got boards. We got 2 boards. We got a new scale. We got a digital screen now, locking scale. No more of the jumping around. So
at least you got that certified.
yeah, so we've improved a lot. It's just slowly taking time. We've got a lot of sponsors kind of helping us out because, man, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, every day, all year, I'm on the phone with a town.
He'd if he was down here and he needed help, he always could. On the all-nighters, I'd stay out here
Yeah.
and make sure nobody stole
Yeah.
anything.
So we had an all-nighter last year. It's weird because a lot of people wanted an all-nighter, and we had it, and 13 boats showed up.
I think you ought to go from the morning to midnight. Is what I always thought.
So we're kind of this year we're going to do 2 Sunday tournaments. A lot of people have kind of been curious about those, and I've seen some other trails do well with Sunday tournaments, so we're going to do that. See how that goes. We got that Jack and Jill, and that'll be a good tournament too. You know,
Right.
so
If you send me a list,
yeah,
I'll post that on our website.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I put that there or not. But
I'll get a list to you, and definitely. But yeah, it's growing.
so how old are you?
I just turned 30 in October.
30 and running
30 years
a
old,
tournament.
Yeah. You know, something I've noticed is, I would say, me and her are probably one of the youngest two here. You know, catfishing's still an older sport.
Yeah, I'm 50.
But a lot of these guys they're 40 plus years old. I mean, you just don't have that younger generation like you would expect. But I slowly see it coming.
Well, you know, it's like when I wear jerseys, and people say, "Well, you didn't catch a 100-pound fish or this and that." The reason that I've got sponsors on my jerseys is when I go do things for the kids, and
Yeah.
I go to the senior citizens, center, and they see my jersey, they see who's giving back to the community,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and things run a lot smoother when you got a little bit of sponsorship and
They
a few
do.
extra dollars. So,
They do. It's hard to get the money. I've got some added money from some people to help, pay for the scales and stuff like that. But I mean, it's still a lot of money is out of pocket. So,
do you have a Sea Arc one coming up, or?
well, we got Sea Arc sponsorship from Sea Arc and Dave's Marine in Fort Madison. They throw in $500 at each tournament, and if you have a Sea Arc boat, you get a ticket, and we just pull a ticket at the end of the day.
What if you win and you're a
If
Sea
you
Arc?
win with a Sea Arc boat and your name gets drawn, then you get another $200 on top of that. So you could possibly get $700 just for having a Sea Arc. It is just for Sea Arc, and that's just something they're saying thanks. I mean, Dave's a Marine.
Right.
That guy, I bought my boat there, and people just are flooding him now. I mean, it's crazy.
How-
He's a great guy.
How many miles do you think that you put on your vehicle every year? Just in the tournaments.
Just in these, for example, this tournament, it took us 3 hours to get down here to Earth City, where we spent the
Okay.
night. So when you're talking 6 hours of just driving, just to put the tournament on.
And where'd you come from?
Warsaw, just north of Quincy, Illinois, right on the Mississippi.
Okay.
And then our next tournament's even farther. It's probably 3.5, 4 hours from me. It's all the way across the state.
Is that in
That's in Lexington.
Iowa?
In Lexington, Missouri, on the Missouri
Oh, is
River, over by Kansas City. And then the rest of them some of them are closer.
I know Lyle said one of them over in Iowa or something usually does pretty good.
Yeah, I see the tournaments. I'm a little surprised that we didn't get 50 boats, but we still pulled 36 boats, I think. And I mean, for 36 boats for just a trail
So,
in March is pretty good.
a lot of things or a lot of people are burying the hatchet with other people as far as sponsorship and stuff like that. Do you see a larger cooperation than you normally see when
I do.
when everything's getting
I started catfishing for bigger fish 4 years ago when a buddy took me out. And in 4 years, I mean, I went from having a pleasure boat to now a Sea Arc, and I fished tournaments. And I just from running this tournament trail last year, and from kind of meeting people, and then I fish monsters, I fish the Sea Arc tournament, I'm gonna fish the river monsters. I travel as much as I can with also putting on 9 tournaments. But I see the younger generation coming up, and I see also, in my opinion, I think we're at the point, and some people disagree, that I think in 5 years you're gonna see Ford, Chevy, GM, that kind of sponsorship slowly coming this way. You're starting to get, like Hook apparel. You're not just getting like the catfish industry stuff. Some of these other people are kind of jumping in. You always have Sea Arc. You got the catfish and stuff, but when you start getting, I got a Chevy dealer in Quincy. They gave me some money to help pay for scales. I got Ron King, he fishes the trail. His family runs a business. They gave us some money to help run the trail.
I guess what I was trying to get at, maybe I didn't say it well enough, because I kind of get that way every once in a while, but you get A rod holders talking about B rod holders being better, and then you end up with a lot of mudslinging, and a lot of that has stopped, and and decided to do it for the betterment of catfishing tournaments.
And I think again that kind of goes along as it's getting bigger so fast that people can't keep up. So there's now, I mean, you take anchors.
Right.
I like Cat River Anchors. They're a great sponsor. They're up in my area, but now you've got Never Snag Anchors down and around in Kentucky. I mean, you've got all these anchor companies that are coming out. You know, they're probably, you know, there's maybe some little tension between them, but all in all, people are buying anchors because more and more people are fishing. You know, if you go buy a Sea Arc boat right now, you're not going to just go buy one this weekend and bring it home. You're going to have to order it, and it's going to probably be 6 months before you get it. And I mean, to think of going to buy a boat and it's going to be 6 months before you can get it, is crazy.
Yeah, they, you know, a lot of people talk about other people and stuff, and that just don't have any place in tournament fishing.
No, and I really don't tolerate that. You know,
and I see a lot of that stopping.
I think it's getting better, especially like, you know, the rod companies. Oh, we use this rod, we use this rod. I think
your rod sucked.
I think some of that goes along with the sponsorship. I think the guys that, you know, let's say for me, you know, I don't personally have a sponsorship. Everything I do is for this trail. But you know, if I had my own sponsorship, let's say with, you know, a certain rod, I'm not. I guess some people might talk bad about other rods to sell that rod. You know, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. If somebody comes to me and they say, "Hey, I've got this rod, I'll give you 6 rods if you fish with them and push them." I'm not the type that says, "Well, okay, I want 6 rods. That's awesome. So I'm gonna take your 6 rods, even though I don't like them, and I'm really gonna probably fish with something different."
Turn around and sell them.
Turn around and then try to and badmouth other people. So if you see a sponsorship with me or on my boat or on my trailer, it's because I believe in them. And they've went out of their way for me, and I believe their product. But I'm not going to badmouth Never Snag or any of these other, you know.
Right, there's just isn't a place for it.
You know, there's no place for that, and that's what's slowing.
And I see that
down.
I see that starting to catch hold now, and you know, we had some problems with some people before, and now everything's smoothed over, and just decided to let bygones be bygones, and I think a lot of that
I
has
agree.
to.
And you know, it's especially I saw that at the Catfish conference. You had a lot of rod companies, a lot of you know, different companies. I didn't really see any tension because, believe it or not, I think it's growing fast enough where there can be 10 you know, custom builders. I just personally, granted, I'm new into this, so in my eyes, what I see, and being new into this, I see it growing just steady. I mean, if you're having a trip, there's no added money at this tournament. It's an 80% payback tournament, and people are driving across states. I mean,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? It's unreal. I mean, if I had $5,000 out of money, there could be 100 boats here. So I'm slowly working towards that, but for it to get to that point, you've got to stop some of the, you know, the bad talking. But I do see it getting better.
You know,
I think now that there's so many people that are sponsored, it's not just anybody can just call and say, "Hey, I want to get sponsored by you. I'll help sell your rods." I think now that there's some good enough guys that people are, you know what I mean? Not just anybody can go to some rod company and say, "Hey, I want your rods," even though I don't really want them. You know, everybody is getting better, and they're really supporting each other, you know. And it's funny because here today, I mean, I got to push everybody to get their boats in because all they want to do is chat with each other, which is fine, you know.
and 35 boats for the first one this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy.
I mean,
about it.
35 boats, 36 boats. That's a good count.
That's a very good count. And I've got some added money this year in Canton. We've got $2,500 added money. The Jack and Jill. I'm looking to have some good money in Quincy, Warsaw, $1,000 added money in Nauvoo. It's slowly growing, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of work, especially with having a new kid. But hopefully I can bring him up, and he likes to do it instead of being on the video games all day, you know. But we'll see. You know, I just kind of take it day by day, and sometimes it's frustrating because, you know, I want to go to a town really bad because I like their ramp, I like their people. It's, you know, it's a good setup, and I just can't get in that town. You know, they don't Twist a Cat Outdoors, a catfishing tournament. They don't want no catfishing tournament. That's nasty. Don't bring that here, you know. But it's changing. You know, now with social media,
Right.
you're getting sponsors. It's growing. You know, I'm sponsoring ads on Facebook. It's getting out there. I mean, before this, all week long, I was getting calls from people I don't even know saying, "Hey, I see your tournament. I want to fish it. How do I do it?"
Well, I'll post it anytime you
Yeah.
send it to me. But
So it's definitely grown. It's fun. We enjoy it. I'm excited for the weigh-in today because it's so different. Last year, I had a notebook and a scale, and I penciled them in. I mean, this year we're
Right.
gonna have the trailer in the background, big scoreboards, you know, LED screen. So it's fun. I'm excited
Okay.
to see.
Let me ask one more question, and I usually do this with everyone I do. Do you practice CPR,
Absolutely.
and why do you practice CPR?
You know, I practice CPR because I guess one of the guys that took me out fishing, it had been four or 5 years ago. We went out on my pontoon, his little party barge I bought after high school, and he said, "Hey, I'll bring the rods." He showed me a fish that he caught at work. It was like a 40-pound blue. I thought, man, I never seen a fish like that. So, and I live right on the water. I mean, I opened my door, 15 yards is the Mississippi River flowing by.
Right.
So that next weekend we went out on my pontoon, didn't have no rod holders. He just brought his rods. We caught some bait really easy. We went fishing, and it was unreal. I mean, I set a camera up once, and at one time we had 4 rods going down. We had a 50 and 20s all day long, you know, and I thought, this is awesome. I love it.
Right.
You know, and he kind of comes from a commercial family, and kind of where I live and grown up in Warsaw, right on the river. You know, I've got a lot of friends that commercial fish, and they've been brought up that way. So for me to say, hey, I don't like you keeping 100-pound fish. I do, and I talk to him about it, but I will never change that. I think it'll slowly change, and it has, but I'll never change it. But I personally see when I started, when I first met my wife, we went out and we would catch 10 blues easy. I guarantee it every time we went out. For us to go out the same time of year this year, if we caught 2 blues, I'd say we're probably doing something. Now you can get on 10 again, but nothing like it used to be because the commercial fishing is just, it's skyrocketed. I mean, everybody's doing it. There's no limits. They're taking everything, you know, but I understand there's no laws, so why won't
Right.
they? You're not going to stop it. So after I've seen what, in my eyes, decline, I do CPR, you know, and there's one time, I remember my first big fish, probably a 30-pound blue, I caught in that pontoon, and right across from my house, and I caught it, and man, I was so stoked. I mean, I thought, I didn't have a camera, I thought nobody's ever gonna believe me. You know, I put that fish on the floor, and I drove it right across the river, and I don't know if my mom came out or my wife, but I had them take a picture, and I don't know if it lived. I put it back in the water. I kind of, you know, moved him around, and he swam away, but knowing what I know now, I would never do that again. But nobody taught me. Nobody said, hey, you know, you get that fish in, it needs to go in some water. You can't throw it on the floor, driving around. But I was new. Nobody taught me. Now it's getting taught more and more. Everybody's practicing it. So
You got a little better than I did. I got jumped. They didn't like the catch photo and refrigerate comment. So
Oh yeah.
they went ape on me, but you know, it was done in fun, and
Yeah.
they don't have a sense of humor about that stuff. So.
No, and it's, you know, I guess it's frustrating for me. You know, and I have a lot of stories, and I was the same way. I would never believe some of these people. They say, hey, you know, I was out last weekend and I got spooled, and I'm like, you got a $200 reel and you're getting spooled. That doesn't even make sense. They say, oh, I got a hook bent before. When you start having that stuff happen to you, it's like, wow, I'm hooked now. I had a spool get reel, or a reel get spooled. You know, it could have been what, you know, we never know what it was. It was in current, but it was just still that fact. And last year I had a hook get bent. 8/0 hook. I don't know the brand. It could have been, you know, Team Catfish or Gamakatsu, but it got bent nonetheless. 10:30 at night, I fell asleep on my boat, and I wake up to that rod just getting banged. And my buddy jumps up, grabs that rod, and he sets it. I mean, that rod is bent, and then all of a sudden it just let loose. The fight was gone. We got that up, and that hook it wasn't bent bad. I mean, it was bent, I'd say probably a 1/4 inch. I mean, it was bent. And man, I was so mad, and I thought, I'm never, you know, I don't like this. If it was bought in China, whatever, but I was so mad at that hook that I threw that hook in the water. Oh man, I was mad. And then I realized, why did I just throw that hook in the water? I mean, that's a memory that I can't really even tell people now.
Right.
And literally 1 week later, I heard that a 103-pound blue was caught in a net and killed in my pool. So it's always like, was that 103-pounder? You know, you just never know. But it's just kind of cool to know that back in my head, I think, well, that could have been a fish that I
Right.
almost caught. And then, you know, there, and that's another thing is, you know, a lot of people don't, getting these St. Louis guys to come up, they're like, oh, there's no fish up there. You know, Lyle, in the second to last pool you can catch a blue in, I mean, Lyle caught a 50-pound blue. There were more blues caught up north than there were down here last year. I mean, it's unreal.
Right.
I mean, when the fishing's on up there, it's on. You know, but, so my CPR is definitely the best I can do. And I've got oxygen here, so we do the best we can to get all the fish back into the water, you know. But sometimes it's tough. I mean, sometimes when it's hot, you just can't do it, you know.
Right.
So.
All right, with that being said, appreciate it and taking the time to
Yeah,
talk to us.
Absolutely.
And I'll get this posted on the website later on.
Alrighty.
So remember, if you ain't fishing, you ain't living.
That's true.